I might read a lot of inappropriate stuff, but I do read some age-appropriate stuff. So here are my YA recommendations, aka all of the YA books I've read, because I only read good books. As an adult, there is nothing wrong with reading a good YA book. So here are some of my absolute favorite YA books that to this day I love. I think the stories are phenomenal. Some might even be the best stories I've ever read, dare I say. YA books are phenomenal for young adults, new adults, all ages. My mom has read some of these books and she absolutely devoured them. So I'm going to start giving some of my recommendations for the genre, starting from the first ones I read. So we're gonna grow up with me a little bit, even though the majority of these I did read in adulthood, and I really wish I would have read them sooner. One of my first YA books was The Hunger Games. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about it at this point. One of the most famous franchises for dystopian. They have some of the best book-to-screen adaptations I've ever seen. Like, they are so good. While the Hunger Games movies were coming out, I decided, hey, before I hit the theaters, I'm going to read the books, and I read the first 2 books. I read half of Mockingjay, but at the time, it was a very heavy book for me to read. Don't know why I had to put it down. I am hoping to do like a reread of it soon, but these books are some of the best dystopian novels that I have ever read. So we start with our original 3, which is The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay, which follow Katniss Everdeen, who is a girl from District 12. They're in Panem, which is pretty much split up into 12 different districts. Each one has different duties. She's in the coal mining, and the story pretty much follows this atrocious capital who decided to show the power that they have and keep everybody in line after a rebellion that had happened previously by creating a bloodbath of game where they pick 1 boy and 1 girl from each district, which equals 12 times 2, 24 competitors to fight to the death. So the last person remaining, not the last boy and girl remaining, the last person remaining will be deemed the victor of that year's Hunger Games, and everyone else is just dead. And it's televised across everybody. So everybody is just loving and watching all of these young children, by the way, die. It has a romance soft side plot because the games speak for themselves. I'm a romance girl. I'm Team PETA. But the stories, Jesus Christ, these books were just so amazing, and seeing how awful the world was like, wow, this is what dystopian's all about, am I right? Murder. Then we recently got the 4th book, which is A Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, which follows President Snow, which is the person in the original 3 books who is running the entire show, where he was a student. So it was during the 10th Hunger Games. 24 of the Academy students would mentor one of the competitors, and he was the mentor for Lucy Gray, a girl from 12. Who would have thunk that? Do you see the parallels of Katniss Everdeen from 12 and then Lucy Gray from 12? Who would have thunk? And I believe she's the first winner from 12. This is kind of showing like how President Snow got to the point that he got. Do not be deceived, okay? This one does have a bit more romance into it between President Snow and Lucy, and they did happen to cast President Snow as a very hot man in the movie. Do not get comfortable. He is an awful person. Awful. I fell for it. I really did. But he is off. If you read the new book, forget everything I said. But it's pretty much following him and seeing kind of like the really like simplified and very brutal and dehumanizing and atrocious way that the game started. Not saying that they got any better, but they did get better technology, which made it worse. But before, it would kind of just be like, you have sticks and stones, you kill each other. Right there. You have nothing, you can't hide anywhere. It's like this big, go at it girls, which was awful. They were treated like zoo animals. I think they were in a cage. At one point, she was like behind like a... Anyways, so that follows their story and kind of how President Snow was raised into this and the little things that he did that got him to this point, and pretty much what was his breaking point and why he hates Katniss so much and wants her demise. A few months ago, we got Sunrise on the Reaping, which is Hamish Abernathy's story. Hamish is a raging alcoholic. He has a significant amount of trauma, and he is actually Katniss's mentor, which you would learn in the first 3 books. Everybody has been waiting for his story. Like, nobody thought they were gonna get his story, so just getting Hamish's story was insane, because this man, you could tell he went through so much and it was alluded to it, but having to live it with him was heartbreaking. When Sunrise on the Reaping got announced, literally they also announced they already had a movie deal before the book even came out. That's how you know that this franchise is chef's kiss. And the movie comes out next year, which I'm super excited for, because if you have checked their castings, these people said that rent is due because the castings are absolutely phenomenal. Even the ones where the characters are still there in the newer movies, they're like copy paste. Like, I'm convinced that these were just clones of what they looked like when they were children, but besides the point. This one follows the 50th Hunger Games, and you pretty much get to see everything that Haymitch went through to win those games, and all of the trauma and all of the atrocities that the Capitol did to him, to his family, how he became an alcoholic. Really valid, to be honest. Haymitch was one of my favorite side characters, so getting his story, you don't even understand how lucky you are to be starting this series and already know that you're getting a story for this man. Like, it is, congratulations for starting this. Like, I'm jealous of you. One thing with this, if you are a new reader to the Hunger Games, I'm going to say this, there's this new trend that seems to be coming along where people are starting the series chronologically. So reading Ballad of Songbirds, Sunrise on the Reaping, and then the 3 main Hunger Games books. Don't do that. This is a series that it's not even like, oh, you could, no. We're reading the Hunger Games in publication order, because what happens is that the original trilogy of the Hunger Games has all of the intense world building. That's where you really understand what the Hunger Games are, what they have to go through, the trials before, all of this stuff that goes into what the Hunger Games are now, and how the government was and how the revolution was, and you get to understand these characters. So then when you get those extra side stories and prequel that is Sunrise on the Reaping and A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it's more of like a little plus of like, oh, this is how this character got here, and oh, this is what happened. But I feel like it would be so crazy to empathize with President Snow a little bit in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before knowing who the hell that man is. Hell no. And understanding and seeing everything that Haymitch went through before, like, seeing him as a mentor is absolutely insane to me. Another thing too, with the world building, it is mainly explained in the Hunger Games. So if you go into the other 2 books without knowing that, you're going to be missing a good chunk of the importance of the story and the importance of this dystopian society and all of that. So I do not recommend that. Also, Sunrise on the Reaping, the epilogue spoils the original trilogy, so don't do that. Don't do that. I will accept if you watch the movies and then you just decided to read the rest of the books. That's fine, because you understand like the majority of what is going on. But this is one of the best dystopians that I've ever read. It's fun, but like not in a like, oh, this is so fun to watch. Like, I'm not like the Capitol guys, but like it was like such a good story. I had such a good time reading it, and I had such an amazing time watching it. These people know how to make a movie, let me tell you. Even though the Hunger Games is extremely brutal, I do think it is appropriate for a mature 12 plus age range. I read it when I was really young. I was about 12, 13. Everybody was reading it at 12, 13 at that time. So I would say it is suitable for a young adult audience. Next, my first YA romance, The Selection. This series has such a special place in my heart. It is the only series that I have read more than once. I read it when I was really young, and I got it off fucking Scholastic or whatever at school. And then I reread it in adulthood. Not really like now, like maybe like 3-4 years ago. And if I had extra time, I would reread it a 3rd time. This is like my safe space, and I feel like nobody talks about it anymore. It is from like 2012, so I get it. The Selection by Kiera Cass is so good, and it is so fun. It is like The Bachelor, but for princesses. And I love the princesses, and I love reality TV show. It is literally a reality TV show in a book, but they have ball gowns. How exciting. I also think this series is for 12 plus because I read it at 12 plus. There's nothing really questionable going on there. We have 35 girls who are fighting for Prince Maxen's hand. So it is a tradition that has been going on throughout the years where whatever's the next heir to the throne will find their wife or their husband, prince, the king, the princess, whatever, whoever, whatever. Through this competition, Maxen gets to know all of these girls one by one. They have little dates. If you watch Love Island, I'm just saying, Love Island in a castle. Slowly eliminate a few of the girls. There's obviously a lot of political drama going on in the back end. I was mainly focused on the romance, I'm not gonna lie to you, but the politics kind of went crazy on this one. And it kind of reminds me of like the Hunger Games a little bit without like all the bloodshed of like, they're sectioned off into different cases and they get like picked to go there. The difference is that they willingly sign up for it, and it's not a specific amount per case. So sometimes a whole case just doesn't have anybody there competing for the prince's hands. The competition also doesn't happen every single year. It's obviously based off of necessity whenever he needs to get married off. We follow America Singer, who is from Caste 5, which is relatively low in the food chain. Caste 5 is singers and performers, or artists and performers. That's kind of like what their entire occupation is. Whatever their caste is, that's what they work in. So America didn't want to sign up to be up for this competition. Due to necessity for her family, she signed up for it. Once you get accepted to go, once you get picked, you automatically become a 3, which is a huge upgrade for her, a huge upgrade and help for her family. Even if you don't win, you don't have to go back to whatever caste you were in, unless I believe if you're in a higher caste. I think you stay in that, but you can't be below a 3 once you're in the system. Only thing is that America has this childhood lover, but Aspen is in the 6th caste, and what happens when you marry somebody below you as a woman, you also end up lower on the 6th caste. So if she's already a 5, her family's struggling, he's barely making ends meet, then she's also going to get pulled down. Does she do it for love? Does she go and she tries to actually win the hand of Maxon? It's a big internal turmoil. It's a wonderful love triangle. I was so invested the entire time. It consists of 3 primary books, which is The Selection, The Elite, and The One, and each one is less and less girls, obviously, and the last one is The One. So it is genuinely so funny. It is really interesting. They go through interviews, they make commentary, they mess up because America's gonna mess up because she is lowercase and she has absolutely no shame. And let me tell you, she doesn't want to wear ball gowns, she wants to wear pants. Might be cliche, but she kind of pulled it off. It was hilarious, and he is such a good man, and Aspen's such a good man, and I'm all over the place. Then we also have the Happily Ever After novellas, which consist of a ton of little novellas of kind of what was happening during the competition. And a little bit before, we get a lot of side love stories, which was really, really fun. We get to see some of the competition through Maxon's point of view, which I was just like, I love it. I love a good like male point of view. And we also got to see some of the things through Aspen's point of view. So we got both our love triangles getting through it. Absolutely love those novellas. We also got to see the King and the Queen's love story, which the King and the Queen obviously were married through this system of the selection. And we got to see a little bit of like their selection process, which was very, very interesting. Then we have the final 2 books, which is The Heir and The Crown. Now we have America's daughter who gets chosen to go into the selection. That was really interesting. I will say I'm an original trilogy girl. Personally, it was not my favorite. Did not really like the ending too much. But it was really, really interesting seeing America as a mom and seeing kind of how she handled that, having been somebody who had gone through the selection before. Honestly, I would still reread them. Like, I have such a soft spot for the series that every single book was just phenomenal to me. Could not recommend this series enough. I feel like it does not get nearly enough love. And genuinely, it is such a lovely, lovely romance. My heart, like, lies with that series. I am weak for those love stories, and I'm weak for this. It's just such a fun premise to the story. If you want a good YA romance, like, this one is one of the most fun ones that I read. And it also, I can't rave about it enough. It is so good, and it is so good for young adults, and it is also really good for older adults. Guys, be honest, we watch reality TV show, it's right there. Next, we have Harry Potter. I have very little to say about this because if you don't know about Harry Potter, I have some questions. I actually have not finished the Harry Potter series. I read the first 3 books, I believe, but this is still me recommending it to you because those 3 books were phenomenal and the franchise is phenomenal. Harry Potter is like my favorite franchise of all time. So this is on my like YA TBR. Maybe I'll make a YA TBR video. Do you guys want to see my YA TBR? Because it's very lengthy. It is very lengthy, and half of Harry Potter is on it. It's still like something that I would recommend to absolutely everybody. It is such a fun like academia story. It has romance as a side plot, but it does have a lot of magic, and it's so much fun, and it has found family. I can't describe how fun the Harry Potter world is, but you should know by the fact that there's a crazy amount of movies, and we have parks dedicated to it. It is so good. By the way, the parks are phenomenal, and if you've ever played Hogwarts Legacy, it is a video game. Best adaptations ever. This for me is the best book to screen adaptation, book to game adaptation, book to world adaptation. They have never missed for me. Do you know what it is playing Hogwarts Legacy and being able to live as a Hogwarts student? Freaking insane. And everything was exactly as I imagined it in the book and in the movies, and everything was perfection. But we're not talking about the game, we're talking about the books. I could not recommend these books enough. Even though I have not read them, I'm gonna wholeheartedly recommend them. The movies are some of my favorites. I rewatch them every single year. I'm a Slytherin. Could you tell yes or no? And for everybody who knows that Draco's on my book boyfriend list, yeah, like Harry Potter is my shit. I'm like a little kid, I really am. Harry Potter is for everybody. I'd say 12 plus, 10 plus. Harry Potter is, everybody should consume Harry Potter. It is phenomenal. As much as I love Harry Potter, I'm going to need to talk about My Roman Empire, the absolute best series that I have ever read in my entire life. And even if it is YA, it's the best series I have read, even through all my adult books, through everything, and it's going to be the best series I think I'm ever going to read. You might not know it. I know I don't talk about it much. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This series is the absolute best. For this series, the romance is a side plot, but the amount of side plot romance they give you is enough to keep me fed. There are multiple couples in this series that I am absolutely in love with. There are so many couples. There are so many bookmen that are just like up there for me. But in general, the story is the best story ever written. I could talk about it nonstop, genuinely. I'm about to do my reread, hopefully in the next like few months. I did only read it a year ago, but it is consumed my every waking thought. If you want a more in-depth video on whether or not the Throne of Glass series is for you, I have it linked here. I have already made like a huge run-through video on how you should read it, since there are different reading orders and different ways to go about the series. I also have a lot of information on what the series is about. Now, for the age rating of Throne of Glass, that's where it gets a little bit sketchy. I would say that the first 4 books, if you add the novella, it's the first 5 books. I'd say it's about 14 plus, maybe a really mature 13 plus. But there are some spice scenes, very minimal, not very graphic, but due to that fact alone, I'd say the last 3 books are 16 plus, unless you skip the very small, like short spice scenes, but I don't trust you to do that. So for my sake, I'm going to say that it is 16 plus for the rest of the series, but I could not recommend this series enough for adults, for young adults, for everybody, because honestly, it is the amount of depth in this series, the way that every single little piece just connects back to the beginning. I have never felt so engaged in a story before as I have with Throne of Glass, and as you can tell, it consumes my absolute every waking thought. If you want more information on it, I do have a full video on it, because if I keep talking about Throne of Glass, I'm never gonna stop. But just know it follows Selena Sardathian, Auden's notorious, most amazing assassin, and she does some shit and she goes through some shit, and it is the shit. Begging you, will recommend this to anybody who even looks me in the eye. Next, we have Powerless. I do recommend Powerless for 12 plus. Everybody knows Powerless at this point. It is one of the most famous YA series right now. Powerless by Lauren Roberts follows the ordinary Peyton Gray, who has no powers, in a world full of elites which do have powers, and the elites pretty much have weeded out all of the ordinaries. They said they had some type of disease or some bullshit, but pretty much no powers equals you're weakening the race. So if we have no ordinaries, then everybody will be all powerful and we'll have the most powerful state. How crazy is that? But can you believe it? Peyton gets chosen to compete in a trial for the elites that is pretty much made to showcase their powers. She has none. She has learned how to fake a power for long enough that they believed her. And now she has to compete against a ton of very powerful elites. So that goes crazy, and you'll never guess who's one of the people that has to compete. Her lover. And you'll never guess who her lover is. The son of her greatest enemy, the king. And that man is Kai Azar. And that man, one of the best book boyfriends. That man never misses. That man never misses, but they definitely go through their little trials, their little tribulations, their love moments. It is such a fun read. The romance is off the charts. There's so much pining, so much yearning. I wouldn't consider it an enemies to lovers, because that man looked her in the eyes and he said, my favorite color is blue now. My favorite color, have you seen Peyton Gray's eyes? That's mine. We have 3 main books: Powerless, Reckless, and Fearless. Fearless just came out a few months back. I cried. That book absolutely shifted the entire story for me. I forgot. I'm just saying, I forgot. Such a good ending to the series. It was such a painful ending to the series, and I recommend this series. We also have a novella, Powerful, which follows Peyton's best friend, Adina. Very depressing. She writes very depressing novellas, which really scares me, because we are getting a fearful novella, which is the final book in the entire series. Story closed this September, and it is for Kit, Kai's brother, and I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry, because this is the only thing I've wanted since I finished Fearless. Like, all I wanted was a Kit novella, and Lauren Roberts saw my video and she said, I'm writing this for you. I wish. But I'm gonna keep telling myself that, because it felt like a gift for my soul after finishing Fearless. Getting Fearful in the same year. Ugh. Thank you, Lord. Very, very romance-centered. A guy who just never misses. Some amazing pining, some borderline not YA moments. Powerless is amazing. I cannot recommend that enough for a good YA romantasy series. I must counter with my second favorite romantasy series after Throne of Glass, Shatter Me. Shatter Me is a dystopian series, actually, which I don't know how I didn't read it when it came out. I'm very late to the game and I read it quite recently, but it also has consumed my every waking thought. I absolutely love this series. I live and breathe this series. I'm going to reread this series sooner rather than later because Aaron Warner. Shatter Me, I'd say, is also 12 plus, very sane series, except for, believe me, the last novella. I don't know how that was allowed in a YA series. I'm so grateful. They fed the adults, they really did, but I don't even know how that was allowed. That one is like a good 16, maybe 17 plus, like that, but whatever. But that's just the final novella. The rest of the series, very sane, we're good, maybe not. Aaron Warner really does stretch the limit. Like, I thought Kai Azar stretched the limits. No. Aaron Warner said, is this the line for YA? And he puts 1 foot above it. So he's technically still in YA, but like he's right there. He'd be crisscrossing. Shatter Me follows Juliette Ferrars, who has a lethal power where she touches somebody and they just combust, they're dead. And because of this, she has been held in an asylum for 264 days. This girl's going insane. She says she's not going insane. This girl is psycho. By the reestablishment, which is pretty much a dystopian society like every other, where they let you do nothing. They want complete control. They keep saying, it is for the good of humanity. Okay, we're splitting you guys up in sectors. Everyone's gonna have somebody who is pretty much commanding them. And you guys can't do anything we say is not right, but it's for the good of humanity. Bullshitters. They're awful people. So this series follows Juliette kind of figuring out the entire reestablishment. It's obviously a whole revolution towards the reestablishment, but also Juliette finding out a lot about herself, a lot about her past, and when her past gets revealed, it is the craziest reveal ever. Like, Defy Me is my favorite book in the series. It is so chef's kiss in every possible way because the amount of things that I did not expect that absolutely tore my soul to shreds was insane. We also get a good amount of found family. It's an absolutely amazing story while also being very, very fun, but also very, oh no, this is bad. The best book boyfriend ever. Who said that? Who said that? Aaron Warner Anderson. Aaron Warner Anderson has my heart, my soul, my everything. I love that man. That man loves fashion. He has my heart. He really does. As far as I'm aware, this series is about Aaron Warner, right? That you're gonna tell me that this was about this is not about Aaron. It was about Aaron Warner for me because every time that man was on the page, I was like, we have 6 main books to the Shatter Me series, and we have 3 novellas. One of the novella books contains 2 novellas in it, one for Aaron Warner, which was my favorite, and one for Adam Kent, which is Juliette's lover in the book. We get a really interesting love triangle. My favorite shape. Some scenes were like, oh wow, this is bad. Then the second novella book has 2 novellas about Kenji, which is Juliette's best friend. I love him. He is the funniest character ever written on paper. He's hilarious. And the final novella is kind of like the entire wrap up of the series. Was a little bonus for me. They wrote it for me because that was some good stuff, if I do say so myself. I also love an angsty man, and it follows an angsty man, and I was sad for it. Some people did not like the novella. That novella was phenomenal to me. Don't ever tell me anything different. And recently, a few months ago, we got Watch Me, which is actually the revival of the reestablishment. It is 10 years in the future, and we follow James, which is Adam's younger brother, which is trying to take over the one sector that the reestablishment still has a hold of after everything that happened in the original Shatter Me series. We get a lot of our characters coming back, which for me was so happy because I thought I was never gonna see them again. And they got a lot of screen time. We only have the first book of the series, but she did say it was going to be a very long spin-off series, which I'm very, very excited for. And it's very, very nice to finally be back in the world with everybody. So if you start Shatter Me now, you're kind of like right on time before the other series starts kicking off. So catch up, girls. We only have until I think December, maybe. She hasn't announced the next day. I'm gonna bait myself into saying December until we get the second book for the Watch Me series. Follow up, we have Divine Rivals. Divine Rivals is one of the sweetest series I've ever read. It is a duology. I would say very sane, very clean for 12 plus. It is a historical romantasy, which is set in the real world in the past, but also has a lot of fantasy elements. The gods are at war, which makes for a lot of fun political drama there. Let me tell you a secret. The gods that are at war, they were lovers. Actually, she's releasing a book very soon that is based on their love story, which is so exciting. But Divine Rivals follows Iris Winnow, who is a writer, and it is a one-sided enemies to lovers between her and our man Roman Kit. That man crawled for her. Now, one-sided, what do you mean? Well, I mean that the whole premise of this is that there are magic typewriters where Iris has been messaging who she thinks is her brother who got sent off to fight the gods' war. So there's that political element. And she thinks she's writing her brother, but actually those letters that she has been writing in her typewriter have been going to somebody else who also owns one of the magic typewriters. And who do you think that could possibly be? It's Roman Kit. Now you see, Roman knows that he is messaging Iris. However, they are enemies in real life because Iris is trying to win a columnist competition where she works so that she could be like the columnist and she could be the writer for it, but she's in competition with Roman. But Roman is still very into the competition. He still genuinely wants to win, but it's just such a beautiful story where they send each other letters back and forth as friends, as lovers. The writing is absolutely phenomenal. I was swooning the entire time because, like, think about it, like, they're letters. Like, letters in a fantasy book never ever miss. But of course, with the war, what does that mean? We have some of our writers writing about the war, which puts them at risk, which makes our love story a little complicated in the best ways, because I was just like at the edge of my seat the entire time. Their love story is honestly so incredibly sweet. It is such an easy read. It's only 2 books, and I am just absolutely floored by how unique the story is. It is such an amazing palate cleanser. It is by far too underrated, and I could not recommend the series enough. Then we have The Rose Bargain. This is one of my favorite reads of 2025. I would say also very clean, 12 plus. Only the first book is out though. It is supposed to be a duology. The next book comes out next year, and I've only read the first one for logical reasoning. It is such a good story, let me tell you. The story is kind of very Bridgerton-esque. It follows girls during their marriage season, so they're entering the marriage market. They're trying to marry themselves off to be able to financially sustain their family, to get a good name, to be able to like up their reputation. But it's also a fantasy. So our queen offers everybody in the entire realm one bargain in your lifetime. So you could either hold that bargain, you could cash that bargain, you could wait until you're to need, I don't know, you could do it whenever. However, the girls who are entering, they are expected to cash in that bargain the moment that they enter, because their only priority should be making themselves appealing for their season and for whatever male is going to have them as their wife. They should only be bargaining for things that are gonna make them more appealing in the market, which is awful and it's so superficial, but that's what it is. However, these bargains, they have a catch to them, and sometimes it's a really funny catch and sometimes it's a horrible catch. So let's say the only thing that's stopping you from being the perfect candidate for marriage is, you know what, you read kind of slow. So then you bargain and you're like, yeah, I want to read faster. She's like, okay, perfect, now you can read faster, but I just want you to know that every time that you look at a wall, your nose is gonna start twitching. What the fuck is that? Or I don't like the way that my teeth are, like I want to straighten my teeth. She's like, perfect, but you're gonna have 4 fingers now, you're missing a thumb. It's crazy, it's atrocious. So we follow Ivy into the start of her season. Her sister has been missing since her season, which is very, very interesting because it is relevant to the bargain. So the bargains are kind of like, we don't really know what's going on there. The queen is kind of sketchy, we don't like her. The thing that happens in her season is that the queen's son, Bram, is actually going to be one of the candidates for the marriage market. She gave them the decision to pick whether they want to go towards the regular season, the regular men that are available, or they want to compete for Bram's hand in marriage. Only problem is, if they compete for his hand in marriage, they can't marry anybody else. If they lose, they can't marry again, which is awful because if they lose the competition, they pretty much just screwed their entire families over, because in that time, the families really counted on their daughters bring in a dowry and bring in some, you know, some financial help, if you will. So we see the whole competition. Ivy's not interested in the marriage market, so she obviously enters for Bram's hand. It is crazy. It is insane. Bram is our fae prince. He's magic. But there's also his brother, who is dark and mysterious and kind of mean. And he wants to overthrow the queen. So who does he hire for the role? Ivy. But what if Ivy starts catching a feeling for the prince? How is he gonna do that? all over the place. It is such a crazy story. It is kind of angsty, but there's also a lot of bloodshed. Did not expect that at all from Bridgerton. I mean, whatever. And the ending, oh my god, the ending had me with my jaw on the floor. I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, how am I supposed to wait until the next book? Can we simmer? Can we give it to me now? It was crazy. It is such an amazing story. Honestly, did not miss for a second. I could not put the book down, and it is one of my favorite YA reads this year. Give me the second book, but I'm definitely recommending that to you wholeheartedly. It is so much fun. It has games like Powerless. They also say it is perfect for fans of Holly Black and Stephanie Garber. So if you like Caraval, if you like Once Upon a Broken Heart, if you like Cruel Prince, run to this because it is such a fun book and such a fun start to a duology, but it is also like, oh my god. Those are some of my favorite YA books that I've ever read. Those are the ones that I can wholeheartedly recommend. They are so good. I mean, I only read good books, so what can I say? If you do end up picking up any of these books, please let me know in the comments if there's some of your favorites or you have any more recommendations for me. Please let me know. I would love to add more books to my YA TBR. Maybe again, I'll do a YA TBR video. In the meantime, these are the ones that I can offer you until I get to expand my range a little more. I'm hoping to go into a lot more of the YA books. I promise you, these books do not disappoint. So if you do get to read any of them, please tell me, because I absolutely love talking about these books, and I love these worlds, and I love Aaron Warner, and I love Throne of Glass. Please do know those are my favorites. So if you are like, which one should I start with? Either of those, I'd be really happy to talk. I hope you enjoy, and I hope that this helped you, and I hope it gave you some new books to add to the never-ending TBR. Love you. I'm sorry, are you still here? Are you still here? Well, what can I say? We have a little life update. Right now, when this video gets released, I'm actually gonna be by the pool with some of your favorite book creators. We're having a crossover episode. I am so excited for this trip. It is in a few days for me, like right now. But by the time that you're watching this, I will be on a trip with a ton of my favorite book creators who should be your favorite book creators. These girls are absolutely phenomenal, and there's going to be a really fun vlog coming from my trip, and I'm so excited to create content with them. So here's your little insider. Get ready to meet some wonderful book creators that you're gonna add to your following, because these girls are the absolute best, and I'm so excited to share some of the content that we end up making. It's so exciting. It's the first time I'm meeting some book creators, so like I'm like fangirling. Anyways, another goodbye.